Hello there, so here's the result of what we did for the Arduino project, where we turn on multiple LED lights using multiple Arduino pins. And we have different little set of logic, so we can either turn on all the LED lights blinking at the same time, or just picking randomly one of those pins and blinking one LED light randomly, as well as blinking one LED light at a time. So let's check it out. So here's the first result, where we uploaded the code to upload or to blink all of the LED lights at the same time. So as you see, we have all of the LEDs lined up prior to between the resistor and then with one little terminal. And then the other terminal is going to ground, which this ground is going to go all the way to the ground pin from the Arduino. And then as you notice, there's going to be a lot of all of these pins that we have connected, that all of them are going to fit to each of the different resistors that all eventually lead to the LED lights. So what's going on is in here is that, let me show you the code real quick. So here the code, we are setting up, we're setting up all the pins. We're setting up all the pins in output mode so we can emit signals. And then, for example, right now, we have this logic of blink all LEDs. And what's gonna do is essentially it's just gonna check all of the LED pins, and it's gonna essentially just we're gonna set it to high, which essentially just emits a voltage of 5. And then we're gonna wait for 1 second. Then another for loop where we're gonna set the voltage to 0. That's why we set it low. And then finally with delay time, or just another second, and then this runs one more time. So here's the result for that first part. This is the result of the second logic of code that we're running at the moment. It's the blink one LED at a time logic. So notice how just one LED just blinking, turns off, then the next one, then the next one, and the next one. And just the only difference is just the code. The circuit is exactly the same thing. It's just, we're just determining, or we're just telling the Arduino when do we want to send voltage from each one of those pins and the order. So that's why it looks like one at a time at the moment. If you want to look at the logic, notice that we went ahead and changed the function that we utilize before. We use the blink all LEDs, and now we're using blink one LED at a time. And that logic, if you notice in here, we're just gonna go through all of the elements, or we're gonna have a loop. We're gonna make sure that we go through one whole cycle for each LED at a time. So we're turning on one LED, the first LED, then we're gonna wait, we're gonna turn it off, and then we're gonna wait. Then what's happening is just gonna go to the next element of the LED, or the next element of the array of LED pins, which is gonna pick the next digital pin that we set up. And then eventually it's just gonna run the same cycle over and over. Very similar, it's just the way we organize the logic is just different. Finally, but not least, we are using the logic that randomly picks one of the digital pins and turns on and off one of the LED lights. So here it is. Once again, we didn't modify any of the circuit. Everything is wired up the same way. And if you start going back into the code, what we did is just, once again, we changed the method, the function that gets triggered inside the loop function. Now it's called blink random LED. And the blink random LED, what does is we pick one random element from the array of LED pins, and then we just run the same cycle, which turns on the LED light, or emits a 5 voltage signal from that digital pin, then turns it off or wait for 1 second, then turns it off and then wait for 1 second. And then it's gonna restart the cycle inside the loop function, which is just gonna do essentially the same. It's gonna pick another random number and do the same thing over and over. So here it is.